Hello, everybody. Just getting everybody logged in here. Just bear with me. Here y'all come. Oh, goodness. I clicked on the wrong button. Where'd everybody go? Hold on. I lost you all. I'm okay, I promise. All right. I think I got everybody in here. I'm sure more people will join us. Hello, everybody. I can hear you if you want to unmute yourselves and ask a question. Yes, I am in Vegas. There's the Raiders little thing.
How's Las Vegas?
It was better to me last time I was here. Not this time. But I've had a nice visit with my family. I'm ready to go back. I didn't win thousands of dollars, but the day's not over. All right, how's everybody else doing? Does anybody need anything specifically today? Go Rams. Always split aces and eights. Okay, you got it, baby. I like roulette. So if you guys all want to give me a roulette number, I will screenshot it and take it over to the roulette table.
Patti, SoCal,
Yes.
SoCal 211 San Bernardino is out of funds. Officially, they sent an email to us and they are looking for further guidance and funding. So what do you think of that?
If you need money and you're looking to benefit from the programs and this is your way out, they're all going to be depleting funds rather quickly. This is at the end of the pandemic period. I don't see any extensions to extend this any longer. You're right, the state level is run out of funds and now the county levels are starting to run out of funds. So with that being said, once it's all said and done, they may redistribute the funds to help them a little bit better. But until then, who knows what's going to happen? I mean, they're going to have to redistribute the funds to cover the areas that they need it to be covered rather than leave money in places like Orange County and things like that that's just sitting there not being utilized. So I think, and because I think this, it makes sense. They probably won't do it because it makes sense. But my thinking is if we have $200,000 sitting in Orange County and nobody's claiming it, nobody's using it, that we should redistribute that funds to areas that are still in need. But because it makes sense, it probably will not happen. I need to put my sunglasses on my head so I don't leave them sitting here. Sorry, you guys. Okay, I got one roulette number, 22. And we're letting more people in. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, you got it, 22 and 32. 32 is my number, that 28, so we're good. If you guys have questions, feel free to unmute yourself. I imagine today will not be a long meeting. I don't have a lot of updates for you. And if security comes over here, I'm either gonna have to put my face mask on, see? Or I'm gonna have to move. But I found an abandoned area of the M Resort where nobody's at. So hopefully I don't get interrupted. I don't think it'll happen. It's pretty quiet today. Let me see, can I flip my camera around so you guys can see me? I don't even know how to do that. Here, I'll just turn you around. Look, big empty hallway. You know it's a Wednesday in Vegas when you can see all the way down the hall, right?
Patti?
Yes.
Oh, hi, it's Arlene.
Hi, Arlene.
I hope you're having a good time. I just had that quick question. I sent you an email yesterday, just about a tenant in a single family in LA. They moved in November. We did the walkthroughs, and now 2 days ago, they sent me a picture of a toilet seat that's chipped, and they want me to pay for it and install it. Isn't that
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. They moved in November, like a few months ago, November?
Yes.
Ah, okay. And they have a chipped toilet seat?
Now.
Yeah, they dropped the lid and chipped the toilet seat. It happens all the time. I mean,
Sure.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Was it chipped on the move-in inspection?
I don't know. I have to check. I don't know if I have a picture of it up, but I don't believe so, because I had done a walk through the house and I don't ever remember seeing that. And why would they be
Here-
telling me about it 2 months later?
Here's my opinion, not my advice. Okay. They chipped the toilet, and let's face it, we're talking about a toilet seat. What are we talking about? 15 bucks?
Mhm.
30 bucks? I mean, this is not a big deal. Thank you for letting me know that there's wear and tear on the toilet seat, and move along. You can look at it in the big picture as two different things happening. You have that irritating tenant that calls you about every little cosmetic issue at the property that could be generating. Okay. Or you could have somebody that genuinely just noticed something and they don't want to be responsible, which means they're taking really good care of your property and watching everything. Does this make sense?
It's the former.
Okay.
Because I have somebody out there now, because she told me that the dishwasher is not cleaning the baby bottles enough and it's melting the bottles. Now, I've had tenants in there for years, never had an issue, and she's telling me that the washing machine clothes are getting stuck under the agitator. I wanted to say to her, well, that's probably the way you're putting the clothes in. You're probably stuffing the thing in.
Okay. Washing machines eat babies' socks. Okay. So yes, they do get stuck under the agitator, and you are going to have to look for your laundry under the agitator. It is something that happens. So this is cause and effect, okay, if you will. Just blatantly ask her, are you not happy living here? Did you want out of your rental agreement? I don't understand. Okay. And as far as the chip on the toilet seat, that's wear and tear. That's cosmetics. That's not something they report as damage. They could be looking for a reason to get out of a written rental contract, or they want to move, or it's too expensive for them, or they hate the neighbors. There could be an underlying issue that that hasn't come to light yet. And right now is when they're putting in all their feelers, if you will.
Yeah, because I mean, they had a cleaning crew. They dropped something on my wood floors, and now they have an $800 bill now because the floors have to be completely redone.
Right. And this is all something that should be done when they vacate, not as they continue to live there and do more wear and tear. Make sense?
Okay.
And then
correct.
You broke up. Say that one more time.
I'm not responsible for raising the toilet seat and having it installed. That's a cosmetic thing. That's not a habitability issue.
Correct. Nor is it a safety issue. If the toilet seat was cracked in half, I'd tell you to replace it, because we don't want it pinching anybody's rear end every time they sit down and get up. Okay. That's broken. That needs attention. This is wear and tear damage. This is something they report when they vacate, not while they live there. Okay.
Okay.
But watch out. You got what I call a needy tenant, where they're just going to notify you about everything. And sometimes that's okay too. You just got to learn how to manage that. Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
No problem. I see lots of texts coming through, and I don't have my glasses on, you guys. LA County extended the tenant protections until June 23rd, 2023.
Yes.
No, that's not the case. You just are misunderstanding how it works. Okay. They have 1 year to pay back the money from the time the state of emergency expires. So that's what they're counting in for the COVID money. It's not additional protections going forward until June of 2023, unless they've passed something I'm unaware of. I have been in Vegas for since Friday. So I will look into that and get back to you. It might just be on the repayment. Okay. So take note of that. More coincidence to start raising more confidence. Sorry, you guys, I don't have my glasses on. To start raising rents in Kern must do it. Hard when all are crying poor. Possibly will send a few notices out later this week for March rent. please kick my booty into gear now. Raise your rents. Raise your damn rents. Here's the thing, you guys. If you don't raise your rent right now, and you can, I'm not telling you to raise your rents if you can't. If you're governed by RSO right now, you can't raise your rent until 60 days after the state of emergency expires. It has not expired as of yet. With that being said, we want to be really careful how we approach this, because we also need to be mindful that the real estate market is hanging in a precarious position, and it's ready to go tilt, and like we saw in 2006, 2007, 2008. Are you guys paying attention? So with that being said, if we can raise our rents right now and ride this out a little bit longer before that slope comes in the market, the house of cards comes crashing down, then it'll be a little bit easier for us to hold on. When that crash happens and real estate loses its value, you are going to have to fight to keep your tenants in your property by lowering the rents to market value. And you're consistently doing it. It's a nightmare, trust me. I've lived through one of those. So trying to hold on to the tenant, people ask me all the time, well, why would you try to hold on to them? If they don't want to be there, just let them go. Here's the problem with that. Now you have the expense of flipping a vacant unit. In a bad market, you don't want that expense, okay? So hold on to what we got by all means, but it's gonna get a little bit crazy. Did San Diego extend any tenant protection dates? Not that I'm aware of at this point. From what I see with San Diego and with the entire state of California, the tenant protections regarding COVID should end on March 31st, okay? As far as the June, they have a whole year in LA County. They have a whole year to pay that money back. That's what the problem is, okay? Hi, this is Tony. The County Board of Supervisors voted yesterday to extend the county-wide eviction protections and a freeze on rent hikes for many tenants in the unincorporated parts of LA through the end of 2022. Okay. Here's a problem. As it sits right now, the only places that can't do any rent increases is under rent stabilization organization. Anything under RSO cannot increase rents. Unincorporated parts of LA have been able to do rent increases. So I'll have to read the new moratorium and what they put in there and talk to the attorney and make sure I'm fully understanding what's going on. So give me till Wednesday next week, you guys. A whole hell of a lot's not going to change in 1 week. So let me look into that. Will rent relief continue paying for those that have already applied? They should. Most of my tenants have already maxed out benefits at 18 months. At 18 months, benefits are maxed. We are just waiting for the remainder 3 months to be approved. Does anyone know if rent relief are accepting requests for more rent past the 18 months? Let me see if April's on, Tony. April can answer that. And if she doesn't answer that, I'll get the answer for you. Like if she's not on here. Let me close this, open this. Who's on here? No, I clicked the wrong button again, you guys. I'm getting better. April's not on, Tony, but we can ask April. That's not a problem. I'll ask her and then I can text you. There's no issue there. And then next week should be rather exciting. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, next week should be rather exciting. I'm trying to keep that one under the wraps. I know Val's going to be all over this, so I think I found a lily pad. And I know you know what that means. To help avoid statewide rent control, AB 1482, more specifically the just cause evictions restrictions imposed by it, would you recommend buying in the name of an LLC with individual members as not as corporations as members? No, I can't give you legal advice, and holding title and how you hold title is considered legal advice, okay? That's for your tax person to help you with. But here's what I can tell you. Currently, if you have your house under a trust, a family trust, or a living trust, then rent control the statewide rent control initiative does not affect you. They added corporations in there. And yes, if you have an LLC and there's a member of the LLC that's a corporation, then you have statewide rent control. Here's my opinion. I have a feeling they're going to go back to the drawing board with that. What do I mean? I think they're going to add LLCs. If you hold title in an LLC, then you will also have statewide rent control. I think they're going to push for that. So my opinion would be to lean more towards a family trust or a living trust. Okay, just saying. I hope that makes sense. But ask your tax person and your legal counsel. Okay, would relocation have to be paid if the property is located in Pasadena? How about San Bernardino? We're talking about statewide rent control, and relocation fees must be paid if the tenant lives there for longer than 1 year. So 1 year and 1 day, 1 year. If they live there 1 year or longer. So most places are doing away with the 1 year lease because all you're doing is signing up to pay them relocation fees when they vacate. And that is across the state. Okay, that's AB 1482, statewide rent control. So it doesn't matter if it's in Pasadena or if it's in well, it does matter if it's in Pasadena, and I'll tell you why. Pasadena has their own rent restriction moratoriums that are more restrictive than the state. So Pasadena City would control over the statewide rent control because it's more restrictive. When it comes to restrictions and what governs you, here's what I learned from an attorney a long time ago. God love her, still love her. When it comes to restrictions, the restriction that restricts you the most is the one that controls you. Make sense? When it comes to restrictions, so if you're sitting in the city of LA and you have statewide rent control looking at you, whatever one is more restrictive, which is going to be city of LA because they can only raise the rent, the CPI, not the CPI plus 5, okay? Then LA would control because they are more restrictive. When it comes to restrictions, whatever restricts you the most is what controls you. I hope that made sense. All of our rentals are under various LLCs. Put them in a family trust. Nothing in our personal names. Just write up a family trust. I mean, look at it this way. If we were to die tomorrow, where's all our stuff go? How is it dispersed? An LLC, I'll say this, and the taxes on it suck. I don't have to tell you. You know, you have to pay what, $600 at Hello just because you have an LLC? It's bullshit. I know, because I have one too. And I am considering dissolving it for that reason. 800. I knew it was 600 or 800. I don't remember. I just know some ghastly amount we have to give them for what? So that being said, in my personal, yes, exactly, Val. In my personal opinion, a living trust is much better. Or yeah, a living trust or a family trust or something along those lines, because thank you. Thank you, Val. It offers different protections and less restrictions when it comes to our investment housing. And I'll leave my statement at that. Thank you, Val, for keeping me on my toes, because you knew I was about ready. I can't give legal advice. I can't give tax advice. I could just give, I get that your attorney recommended LLCs. I own an LLC. I get it. I get why they did it. But knowing what I know about statewide rent control and them trying to add LLCs under the corporations makes me go, So I get it. I get why they did it. I'm sure they did it way before statewide rent control initiative came about. So, you know, hey, what are you going to do? But a living trust or a family trust, something along those lines, probably most likely in the long run would put you in a better position. If I had to guess, that change will come out January 1st of next year. And I'll watch what's happening, what's on the list of assembly bills to pass, but usually they hit something every other year. So I would guess that 2023 January would be when that change would take place. If in fact they do that. I get that your attorney recommended LLCs. It was probably several years ago before this initiative happened. So now they may suggest doing something different. Talk to your tax person and see, but there has been talk of including LLCs with the corporation restrictions. So if you hold it in an LLC or a corporation, then you would be subject to the statewide rent control, whereas a living trust or a family trust, you would not. But again, that's hearsay. But I mean, hey, come on, it is our government, right? They can do anything. They can even change the date our rent's due. They proved that to me in March 2020. I didn't think they could, but they did. All right, does anybody have anything else looming? Because Vegas is calling me. I'm kidding. I manage property in LA under RSO. Okay, hold on, I lost my place. Can you tell me if at sometime during a long-term tenancy while an apartment is still occupied, who is responsible to move the furniture and or other items before and after if I have to replace worn or damaged carpet? It should be you. If you are doing the replacing of worn or damaged carpet, moving of the furniture becomes an issue always, because if you do it, then you're liable if you break something, if something gets scratched, if something gets injured. If you hire a professional moving company, then they become liable, but the expense is then in question. So is the tenant disabled? Do they have disabilities? Because then of course you're going to have to provide them with a reasonable accommodation. I'm being honest with you, it's bullshit, bureaucracy and bullshit at its finest. And here's what I've learned about a reasonable accommodation. Okay, please take notes. What's reasonable to a landlord is not reasonable to a tenant, and vice versa. So when you get into the courtroom, unless you've spent over $10,000 in a request for reasonable accommodations as a landlord, it's probably not going to fly. In other words, what I'm trying to say is a reasonable request for a reasonable accommodation can cost the landlord up to $10,000, and the court sees that as being reasonable. $10,000, it's bullshit. So with that being said, keep that in mind. If they have a disability, if they are disabled, if they are asking for a request for reasonable accommodations based on the disability, you're going to have no choice but to either hire someone and help them. Okay. And that isn't just in LA. So you guys know that is good ethics throughout the state. Okay. So not just city specific. In the unincorporated area of LA County in East LA and under RSO, damn you, you must be Tony. Yes, you are. What is the relocation fee for no fault owner move-in? If the tenant has been living in the unit for 8 years and the relocation fee, the current rent value or the apartment times 12 or the low rent they currently pay times 12. Thank you, Tony. Okay, Tony, because you're under RSO, which is the Rent Stabilization Organization, they have their relocation fees current on their website. I want to say, and I haven't looked yet in 2022, okay? I want to say it's $12,000 if they don't claim anything. If they have minor children, if they are over the age of 55, or if they simply say they are disabled, then you're required to pay the higher dollar amount, which I believe is about $22,000. Okay. please provide some kind of words on how to enforce renters insurance, especially for long-term tenants who have never had it. Is it worth it for me to demand this? We're considering demanding this where they have dogs. We expect to push back on this. They can push back all they want. It's 15 bucks a month for them, 10 to 15 bucks a month, and worth every freaking dime when shit goes badly. Yes, you can enforce that. How you enforce it is a 30-day notice of change of terms of tenancy that you cannot do right now. We don't want to change any terms while we're protected by COVID. Okay, so while we're protected by COVID, we want this cloud to go away, and then we pounce. So for right now, and let me look when I get back home, and as it gets closer to the date, we'll discuss it in case it shifts a bit. But for now, for me, it's April Fool's Day. Okay, so once that hits, okay, then you would do a 30-day notice of change of terms, asking them to have insurance. Yes, you can raise rents now, and then require them to get insurance later on a 30-day notice of change of terms. I know it's mixed messages. I just don't want you to change any terms. Remember, Val, please, there's no case law regarding COVID. So until somebody sues somebody at the highest level of the court and we get case law, it's up for grabs. For me personally, raising rents is changing terms, absolutely. But there's a difference. Raising rents is something that we practice doing annually, and we haven't done it since the COVID pandemic has started. So with that being said, we don't want to add any additional expenses onto the tenant for any new rules, okay? I wouldn't add the new rule. Raise the rent, absolutely. Add the new rule costing them more money, I'd wait. I know it sounds really weird, but I'd wait. Attorneys are saying left, right, and sideways, raise the rents, raise the rents, raise the rents. And the reality is we're gonna have to lower them once the market crashes. And buckle up, you guys, because that's a hell of a ride. And we will attack that. I've been through it before. I'm not afraid of it. I know what we need to do. It doesn't fear me at all. But if I was going to change terms of the tenancy that would cost the tenant additional monies other than rent, I would wait until April Fool's Day to serve the change of terms of tenancy, changing the rules. Okay, so we'll talk about that. I have an appointment with an attorney next week, so yes, we will talk. Hold on, this is for I gotta move back here. Unincorporated City of Huntington Park. I want to write a new rental agreement. Originally, there were 4 people. Are you under RSO in that property in Huntington Park? You are not under RSO. Okay, I just want to check. Yes, you should be able to charge more rent because more people are there, but not until the protected period ends. The COVID protections for tenants has protected them from a lot of things. It allowed them in LA City area to move in unauthorized occupants, and we can't evict them for it or punish them because of it, because of COVID. Okay, I get that you're not RSO. I'm with you. Mwah. I love that because RSO makes it more difficult, most definitely. But you're still in LA County. And in LA County, we cannot do evictions for unauthorized occupants or unauthorized pets right now, because if the tenant just says that they're there because of COVID, then they're protected and your eviction isn't going to go anywhere. No, no, you don't have to pay a relocation fee because they weren't your tenant. See how that worked? So come and mind you, I don't know about any extensions. Okay, so let's go back to my April 1st date. Okay, I get that an extension may have been out there, maybe extended till June. I understand what you're saying, but I'm unaware of it. So let's go with what I know from last week. Fair enough? So if 2 people rented a house for you and 4 people came in during the pandemic period and brought 2 dogs and God knows what else, on April Fool's Day, if these 4 people are still here, these people that you rented to are getting a 3-day curable breach of covenant to remove the 4 unauthorized occupants. because the protected period of the pandemic is in. So then they have to leave. If they don't, you can evict everybody. Okay. When COVID protections leave, so does all of this garbage. I mean, for all 6 people, I want to take the unit back. Okay, I get it. Good. I hope what I just explained to you makes sense. But if you go fight that right now for unauthorized occupants or unauthorized pets, all that tenant has to do is say, I was affected by COVID, and they're most likely going to dismiss the case. I know we have BC before COVID and AC after COVID. Forget Christ. We need to talk about COVID. Okay, I'm just kidding, you guys, but you know where I'm coming from. Trying to be funny. So crystal clear, it's okay to raise rents as long as you're not under RSO. If you are under RSO, you cannot raise the rents until 60 days after the state of emergency expires. It's okay to raise rents now, yes. Wait till April Fool's Day to enforce dog fees, pet rents, renter's insurance, extra body fees, and am I missing any other rules? You can raise rents now. If you're going to change the terms of your written rental contract, wait until April Fool's to do it in any way, shape, or form. Utility bills, anything. It's just less risky for you guys, okay? And I'm looking at the very big picture here. I have my backpack on. It's not armpit stain, I promise. But I'm trying to look at the big picture from here and answer your question you're asking from down in this corner up here to make sure that it makes sense the way the law works, the court system works, etc. Raising rents is okay, yes.
Okay, but this doesn't apply to people that moved in like a month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago. Is that right?
Anyone that moved in October of last year, October of 2021, going forward, does not have any COVID protections from you, their new landlord, because they didn't live in your property during that COVID bullshit, for lack of a better term. During the protected period, there's like, all I can think of in my little blonde brain is the protected period and the transitional period. Correct. Protected period and transitional period ended. So there's no protections from you, the landlord, for a tenant that came into your property on or after October 1st of 2022. Does that make sense? In other words, if your tenant that's in the property right now just moved in October, November, December, January, does something wrong, you use business as normal BC, before COVID. Okay, so before COVID, however you would have handled that situation is how you can handle it. They have no protections. Example, one tenant is paying $900 and she received 6 months of assistance. Then she just moved her boyfriend in with a dog. They said they would pay the dog fee, but we have an extra body fee of $150, which I'm not sure you can enforce. Ask her if his intention is to go ahead and live there and they're bonding, building a relationship, maybe getting married. I mean, God only knows, okay? And then point that out to her, but he's living here too. You owe me $150 and then you owe me another additional fee for the dog monthly, and see how that carries over. If they're in agreement to it, why would they fight and argue with you? Make sense? Come April Fool's Day, you can enforce that, but you can't enforce it now unless they agree. Make sense? And if it's a term of your written rental contract and you already have that written in there, you can enforce that now, the more and more I think about it, because you're not changing the term or adding a fee. It's always been there. So there you go. It's just when you guys are changing the rules, just let me try to help you understand what I'm trying to put in your head. We're under a pandemic right now. The government shut us down, okay? What makes you think that you can change the rules on a tenant for them to pay more money to protect you in another aspect for getting something like renter's insurance and that not be an issue with all the tenant protections that our state gives tenants. So what I'm trying to say, just so you understand, is if you can raise the rents and you're raising the rents, then by all means do it. But when it comes to changing the rules, I want you to be careful because you're changing the rules inside of a pandemic, okay, where there's all these protections and all these things going on. So in the event case law happens down the road from now, and it will, trust and believe me, it'll take a couple years, maybe a couple more, who knows? We may have to make some adjustments or some changes based on what we did now. So it's just easier to remember. Uh-oh, hang on. Okay, it's in your house rules, Val, then let it go. Patti, based on what David just asked, it is only if it is not LARSO, correct? It's not just LARSO. Hold on, because RSO now governs parts of San Pedro. Okay, no joke. So, and I have no doubt RSO will move into Long Beach. It's just going to be a matter of when. And here's my opinion to you guys, and I'll say it again. Heavily populated areas come with heavy restrictions for landlords. Okay, so when you're driving down the road and you see a bunch of single family houses, hey, okay. When you're driving down the road and you see nothing but apartment buildings, duplexes, and that is a high concentrated area. They're going to have lots of tenant protections there. So I shouldn't do a 30-day notice, a change of terms of tenancy to have the tenants get renter's insurance for properties in the unincorporated area of LA County RSO, or should I wait to check? Yes, we don't want to do anything on changing the rules for tenants other than a rent increase where allowed until after April Fool's Day. I'm just trying to protect you guys that you're changing rules under that pandemic. Remember, we have this pandemic blanket over us right now. And I just want to make sure that you're not doing anything to expose yourself to unnecessary litigation or something that we have to reverse later. Remember in the beginning of the pandemic, way back in March, 2 years ago, when I kept telling you guys, err on the side of caution, make no sudden movements, don't speak in absolutes, and just try to maintain stillness, okay? Be a sponge, absorb everything, don't let out your frustrations. That actually worked for us. I'm trying to do the same thing with changing the rules during a pandemic, okay? And sometimes I know I don't express myself of what my concerns are, but there's a dark cloud over this pandemic, folks. And there's something about changing the rules in a pandemic that doesn't sit with me well, morally, ethically. And I'm just trying to make sure that you guys don't set yourself up for failure. I'd rather have you err on the side of caution, especially because there's no case law. We don't know. So you don't want to be poking somebody in the eye if you don't know how many eyes they have. You know what I mean? So it's just a different way to look at it. And like I said, as it gets closer to that date, I may change my tune. The pandemic is over. They are using COVID as an excuse to solve housing problems. It's not solving housing problems, honey. It's creating them. Real talk. But yeah, I agree. The pandemic's over. It should have been over. They should not have made Senate Bill 91. They should not have made Senate Bill 91. They should not have extended it. They should not extend it any longer. It is causing grave hardships for landlords. And some of these programs are now even offering mortgage assistance for the landlords that are getting screwed over by the tenants that haven't gotten any money since March. The tenants aren't applying. They can't evict yet. I mean, it's just, it's a recipe for a snollygoster. I don't know what the solution is going to be. And my idea of a solution and the government's idea of a solution are two totally different things. This is the website I use for RSO. There you guys go. If you guys have any questions regarding RSO, there's how you get to it. Thank you, Tony. Quiet. I'm just being quiet. I got no words. I don't like the way the pandemic has been handled thus far. I don't like that the government came in my house, went in my safe, got my written rental contract, and changed the day when my rents are due. There's a lot of things I don't like. I'm not alone. I know that. All right. Does anybody have anything else, or I'm going to cut this short and go on about my day? Like I said, there's a slot machine out there somewhere with my name on it, and I'm going to play the roulette table. So far, I'm playing 22 and 32 for Val. Anybody have anything else? It's also starting to get a little bit busier in my hallway. Not much though. Here, I'll show you. Look, still very, very empty hotel. Which is how I like it. And I don't know if you guys can see that Raiders, the Raiders like golf cart or something. They call it the end runner. All right, you guys, I'm going to get off of here. Hang on. Good luck. Make sure you get a free cocktail at the slots. I don't need to drink, but maybe just one. All right, you guys have a great day. Thank you so much. We will be back next week. We have some changes coming about, so should be really interesting in the upcoming future. This little frog has jumped to a new lily pad, so I'll keep you guys posted. All right, we'll talk soon. Bye, everybody. Have a great week. And if you need me, you know how to find me. Just not today. I'm kidding. Bye, everybody.